So skipping forward to March and Malakin looking to reunite and get the undisputed strap. The I guess it was contract with Arjun Buller, contract negotiations and all that kind of stuff. That's we've now finally got this fight. Um, what are you thinking, sir?
I'm thinking the sooner Arjong would have fought Malakin, the better.
Yeah,
I don't like Malakin is just getting better and better. It seems right. So I'm sure Arjan is working real hard out there, but I haven't seen him, and all I've seen is this destroyer that's you know um seems to be brought into the circle every time Anatoly Malakin fights, man. Like his improvement is
yeah,
so big in between these fights. I'm just like, my mind's blown every time. And he's just the sweetest person. And I've just fallen in love with this guy. I want to go to Phuket just to hang out with Anatoly Malakin and just follow him around for a day and see what that guy's life's like because he's a dangerous, dangerous man who's just a bundle of joy. And it's
yeah.
gonna be cool to see them unify the belts and to see what happens in March.
Yeah, my concern is, as you say, that the lack of consistency. We haven't seen him in, was it a year and a half now, is it, Arjun? Since he won the strap, in essence.
Yeah, the beginning of the pandemic, and he was looked great in there against Vera, you know,
Yes.
but then we didn't see him. So, and then he's doing so much stuff, and when a fighter does movies and they do like he's looking into wrestling and he's on TV sets and he's living this, superstar life is waking up, early in the morning and hitting the road your first priority when you can just stay in your silk sheets, right? Like to quote Bernard Hopkins, it's we'll see. It's all
Yeah.
gonna, no more hiding, no more running, saying contract disputes or whatever. Anatoly Malakin, Ajahn Buller is gonna go down in Singapore, and it's gonna be a spectacle to watch.
It certainly is. It certainly is. And staying with heavyweights, do you think Mr. Ngannou, Mr. Francis Ngannou, would be a good addition to one championship?
I'd like to see Ngannou and Anatoly Malakin throw at it.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. Ngannou's so big though, right? Anatoly Malakin is telling me he can make our middleweight limit, right? Like
Wow.
he's like, go to middleweight and take DeRitter's other belt. Like I was like, and he was thick, and it's possible. Like he's got the maybe, if he just gets ultra ripped, like I'm talking like bodybuilding type ripped, he could, it's feasible,
Yeah.
but to take that kind of power down to middleweight with him, I don't know. Ngannou seems like a giant,
In
you
comparison.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I think Anatoly would have the speed advantage on him, and I know
Agreed.
Anatoly's got a chin.
Hmm.
So it could be fascinating. It could be fascinating, but it's possible, right? And Ngannou's
Yeah.
like UFC. It's not about the money. It's about health insurance and unions and like taking care of fighters and stuff. Like I'm like, all right, and
Yeah.
Ngannou, you know,
Yeah.
and he's got the deal with Jake Paul coming up, where who knows what kind of shenanigans are going to take place. We'll see. It's
Hmm.
interesting what's happening in combat sports because of media now.
Yes. Media actually is driving, pardon self, of sorts, the real questions, the real kind of content outside of the fights being announced. Like people are really, journalists and content creators are really digging in and not just having surface level conversations like what's actually happening in regards to the percentages for organizations versus the without the fighters, we don't have a one championship, we don't have a UFC, we don't have a Bellator, we don't have a PFL. So how does that fiduciary arrangement actually how does it take place? Is it beneficial more than one person? And of course, in business, that is what business is. You get something and you turn a profit. But it in some organizations, obviously highlighting specifically the UFC, it just seems totally out of kilter in regards to what is expected versus, I mean, even this show and win money thing, I think that it's so antiquated. A fighter should be signing a contract knowing I am gonna, if I compete, if I show up and compete, I'm gonna get $50,000, for instance, $30,000. Not you get half of it to show up, and if if you win, you get huh? That's backwards.
I think every fighter commands as much as they bring in.
Mhm.
Use most of the time, you know. So you just as a fighter have to figure out A, how to have alternate sources of income, and B, put yourself out there. Like you can't, like so many fighters I know hate media, can't stand it.
Mhm.
You know, they just want to come out and fight. And
Yeah.
I'm like, and they want as much as possible for just that, you know. They don't understand this is sports entertainment. It's not scripted, right?
Mhm.
There's equal opportunity for both combatants to come away the victor, right? It's not written out, but it's you have to put on a show, and the better show you put on, the bigger your pocketbooks are going to grow. And I don't think a lot of guys realize that. And there's a lot of fighters that are doing it right, and there's fighters that could do it better, you know. So, and that's the problem is they rely too much on the organization, and not building up themselves, And but our guys, man, our guys are, they're a special bunch of people. They're a different breed. And a lot of fighters come here and they're like, man, I am treated so differently at one championship, And so it creates this, I hope it creates this place where all fighters want to come to, and where they have the opportunity to express themselves the way they want
Yes. And not be
in
sort
the
of
ring and out of the ring.
exactly, exactly. It's about the person and the fighter, not about the persona and the fighter. Um, it's almost it's akin to what I grew up watching, the WWF. If some fighters have really hogged onto that element and like, I'm gonna take this all the way. Like I'm gonna mix like pro wrestling with mixed martial arts in regards to my approach to the fight. Whereas, of course you want to sell a fight. You're not going to be, it's not, of course it's respect, but it's like, okay, well, no, I'm gonna dominate you in this fashion. I'm gonna get the victory. I'm gonna potentially even knock you out. That's what my game is. That's, in my opinion, sells the fight. If there's a backstory to it, then by all means. But it's almost like they're creating narratives to almost sell fights kind of thing, rather than the fight selling itself.
Give me an example.
Well, the most classical one would be the decline of Mr. McGregor and all of his external shenanigans.
If McGregor could have stayed the course,
Yes.
right? Like, and if he was true to himself, he created an image, right? But more than him creating an image is he was talking, right? Like, yeah, he might have slipped, but did he really slip? He's still the highest paid, and he fought Floyd Money Mayweather for millions and millions of dollars. Like, he showed us what's possible, right? Any kid from some small town could bust their ass off, develop the skills, learn how to speak, and sell themselves. You might not agree with the way that he did it, but he proved it's a reality for every single one of us that chooses to put on gloves, is that we
Mhm.
can go out there, talk a good game, but we got to back it up. And
Yes.
I hear that a lot, but man, I thank him for what he did for the sport, because he showed us what's possible for, mixed martial artists who typically haven't tasted that kind of money, that
Success.
kind of,
Mm.
so
Well, I think, Mitch, sorry to cut you there, sir. that example, I just rushed with Connor because I've got a whole little thing that I'm going to be doing,
Yeah.
in essence about Connor. He's, his highs, lows, and everything in between. But Colby Covington, when I was speaking and was mentioning WWE, that's the name I had straight in mind because he's far from that person outside of the cage and doing media.
True.
It's
I don't
true.
know. I've never met him. I've never met Colby Covington, but I have an image of what he portrays on TV. And he may have taken the shtick a little too far outside of his natural personality, but maybe he is chaos in front of people, just like Dwayne The Rock Johnson was The Rock, right? But it's real.
Yeah.
I love the fact that because I need somebody to not like, right?
Mm.
Everybody in one championship I love, right? And it's hard to pick a favorite. But I want to see Cosmot go out there and smash that kid, right? I don't know. Either you want to watch him or you want to watch him get beat up, right? And those are the kinds of characters
Yeah.
that I think are essential to sports combat.
Yes. You're true. You are correct in that. That there has to be a villain. Well, it's more exciting. There doesn't need to be a
Yeah,
villain. It's just
yeah.
more exciting. It adds a little bit more intrigue. Like this guy, he talks so much rubbish. I want his opponent to finish him very quickly or to teach him a lesson kind of thing.
You need those guys. Maybe you like Kobe Covington, the good old All-American boy, right? But nobody was watching the
Yeah.
All-American fight people. Maybe Brian Stan was a great All-American. Tim Kennedy is a great
Yes.
All-American. Rich Franklin is a
Mm.
great American.
Yes.
But you need villains, and he saw the expressway to the top,
Hmm.
and that was it. He might turn babyface, right? Then he might become
Yeah.
a face like they talk about in wrestling, right? Like imagine if he goes against somebody who's even more disliked, like he does get to fight a Conor McGregor or
Yeah.
somebody, and he can switch it around. Or if he has a
Mm.
great fight with a guy who's kind of seen as a heel, but also loved by so many, Nate Diaz, right? Like Nate Diaz is just that gangster. And what if they
Yeah.
go out and have a great war where it's back and forth and they're each getting dropped and getting out of submission
Yes.
hold? You can see the pendulum kind of swing. Like I
Mm.
think Volkanovski
Ooh.
got a little bit of that respect earned, by taking Islam to 5 rounds. So anything can happen, my friend. And we need people
Yes.
not to like because we can't like everybody.
Well, very true. And that's the wonders of humanity. We are all so, so different. And it's nice to like everyone, but we are naturally going to come across people who may not overtly do these things, but just something about this person. Like for instance, I've seen a few occasions where at the end of a bout, like once it's all said and done, they'll do a little hug, but I want to go. I don't even want to be in this ring anymore with this guy. And I'm like, that's a
Mhm.
very quick exit. And for that reason, I might think, that's not very good sportsmanship, but there might be something going on in his head, or he's like, look, I've finished now. But it's all of those things. And as you say, that's why well, that's the beauty of humanity, that we're all so, so different. And we paint so many different images that are loved, hated, indifferent, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between.
Yeah, there you go.
100%. Super leg, Rotang. That's going to be the co-main event.
Yes.
Can you explain?
Oh, I don't know
Um,
if that's in March, right? Yep,
that's the March one. Yeah.
that's in March. Yes.
So Rotang is going for the kickboxing strap now, right?
Yes.
What without the use of all of the eight limbs, how do you see this bout taking place?
I would personally like to see it with under Muay Thai rules
Yeah.
first. Um, but kickboxing is fascinating because Rod Tang said that if when he wins the kickboxing belt, he'll have two of the triple crown, right? Or the trifecta, right? He'll have two, right? So then he wants to go after MMA. And that's when he's fully gonna, attack that sport, and the rule set of
Hmm.
mixed martial arts. So I think this is going to be interesting, and I think people are going to see just how technical Rod Tang is. It's too easy to get sucked into Rod Tang as this power punching, aggressive force that just walks forward and eats shots and then throws the hands and the low kicks and body shots, crushing people to the ground. But Rod Tang's very, very technical.
Hmm.
He's very analytical. His violence is all premeditated. He knows how to pick you apart and analyze you. And I've learned this over working with him, right? Like he's watched me hit pads and he's made corrections that have made gigantic changes in me. Like it's unreal, dude. Like it's he's so precise in his thinking, right, in
Hmm.
his explanation of things, and he's just fascinating to learn from. And I think people see Superlek as this highly technical Muay Famer. Muay Cow likes the knees and likes the left kick, and he's always breaking people down. But we're going to see that technical side of Rod Tang too. And I think Superlek might change and become that aggressive, force that walks people down and comes after him with the hands and the
Yeah.
kicks. So it'll be interesting to watch what kind of plays out in that fight, especially over 5 rounds. We don't have 3 rounds. 3 rounds might be too short. In that fourth and fifth round, you're really going to see their game plans kind of come to fruition and come out and kind of blossom. And it's going to be really interesting to watch these two go at it. And kickboxing rules just with the 6 limbs, right?
Yes.
So, and elbows, they're an important part of each guy's game, but they're not like their highlight.
Hmm.
So, like you're gonna like they're both, Superlek's more of that kick,
Kick
right? He's
heavy.
just got that right leg, bang, bang, that right leg that's like a baseball bat, and Rod Tang's more hands, so it's gonna be that battle of range,
Yes.
Superlek trying to keep the distance, or Superlek could turn it on and go banana pants and put it on him. So um, because that's the thing about these guys that have hundreds and hundreds of fights and this much experience since they were little kids, is it's more cerebral than simple minds like me can understand.
It's muscle memory. It's you've drilled it. You've not even just drilled it. You have competed 100. I've seen guys with almost 300 fights and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
are they fighting like 2 times a day for it's tremendous the amount of fights, as I say, the amount of preparation, and they've still got so much left in the tank. It's not a case of you're recycling guys who are a little bit past it. Everyone is coming to their prime, at their prime, and maybe teetering over to potentially, but it's a very much a talent-rich pool of athletes that you've got.
Yeah. In all sports too. Like
Yeah.
there's so many sports, so many different weight classes, so many champions. These Prime Video cards, these one fight nights are gonna be crazy as the year goes on, man. Like we're just gonna feed
Mm.
these new cats into our Lumpini system, and then you're going to see these stars every week, and then all of a sudden you're going to see them on the prime, Sexon fighting Rod Tang, or you're going to just get these incredible matches that are really going to make some great stories.
When can we see Mini T back?
I don't know what he wants to do. He's got a lot of options, right? That kid can kickbox, he can
Yeah.
do Muay Thai, and he can fight mixed martial arts. So
Yeah.
um, it's
That
it's
would be
he,
a good welcome for Ratang when he does do his mixed martial arts debut.
ooh, interesting. I'd love to see that in under, but then they just strike. It'd just be like the Muay Thai fight all over again. I don't know if either one would try to take the other one down. So I think it would just be striking again. I don't know if what's going to happen there, but like I've heard some interesting fights that are on the horizon for him, and I think he might want to kickbox.
Okay.
I think that's what he wants to do now or something. So
Mm,
that's a question for Mini T.
yeah. He's another potential up and coming star. I think we just need to see him a little bit more. He needs to figure out what he wants to do and commit, and we just need to see him out there because he's so entertaining.
He'll do anything. Like he's just like I mean that kid would probably take a fight on like a couple of days notice. Like if somebody drops out at the weigh-in, he could be on a plane the next day.
Yeah.
Um, you know, making weight and fighting anybody. He'll fight the if Rod Tang or Super Leg drops out, I'm sure Mini T would make weight on the plane and show up and fight that day. So Mini T is one of my favorites.
Definitely. Chatri made some news reference the open weight Muay Thai Grand Prix with is it $1 million prize as well? Yes. So initially there was Alistair Overeem making social media statements and whatever, and he's potentially, well, he said he wanted to go for it, but he's under contract already with Glory, so I don't think that's going to be a possibility. Um, have we had any new names added to this tournament as of yet?
Have we had any names? Was Sin
One,
Summit named,
yeah.
or
Since Summit
was
was on
that
the
it?
first, yeah.
Of course, Sin Summit would be the first guy to be like, "I'll fight anybody, anybody. I don't care if they're 125 or if they're 265. I will fight them." That's
I'm
Sin
going for
Summit.
it.
So
Mm,
you got to be a little bit. The Brazilians call it maluco to want to fight in an open weight tournament. Muay Thai too. It's open weight Muay Thai. It's not even kickboxing. It's the little gloves.
yeah.
Can you imagine getting hit with little gloves by Roman Kriklia?
Oh gosh, I was just going to mention his name. Gosh.
No. You got to be nuts, like physically out, like so confident in your own skill set that you would be like, I will raise my hand. And it's like random. You don't even know who you're going to get. That's crazy to me. The old school martial arts right there. That's
Yes.
like Gracie challenge type stuff from
Mm.
back in the 80s. Like, boop.
80s, 90s, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see how it unfolds because it it's bringing back the nostalgic memory of that time and then the early sort of evolution of MMA where it was open weights and that kind of stuff. But I can't see Roman and Rotang going at it. It just physically it's it's not like Gustavo who's got the weight and he's fighting someone of the same weight, but visually he's just very shorter than all of his other opponents. It's not like that. They're gonna be outweighed like twice.
It's a possibility. I don't know. I mean, even in the early days of MMA, there was still like under 200 and above 200. So
Yes.
I don't think the matchmakers would do that to Rod Tang, to have him fight, somebody like even somebody like, Rayhan Ersel fighting, like Superlek, for example. Like it wouldn't, maybe, I mean, maybe, but I don't know. I don't know how it's going to play out. But I'm interested to watch, especially as the names start to roll in.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Rod Tang would put his hand up to fight in the open weight tournament. I love Rod Tang, but to
Mhm.
have a mismatch of like 100 kilos, like doesn't make any sense. Like I know it's open weight, but that is just makes zero
Yeah.
sense to me. So I think you're gonna have to, weigh the advantages of $1 million versus your life, like or like,
Totally.
so I don't it'll be
Yeah.
interesting. I'm sure one is gonna be very smart with this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's gonna be exciting for us as fans
Yeah.
to watch this come and see how it unfolds.
Totally. It would be good if Roma puts his name in there so he can add a third belt to his to his mantelpiece. I mean, he is looking at this world. He's come along from the first time seeing him fight, and I was like, he's got something, but it's not kind of there. And I'm a layman, so don't take my opinion for anything. But I've just seen him just grow, get more, not so much technical, but just more intense, more sort of sniper-like.
There's an aggression that seems to be coming out. It's like there's he's looking for dinner. He's coming out there and he's firing all cylinders right away. His confidence is at all-time high. I spoke to him and he was telling me how for weeks during the pandemic he had to stay in a hotel room, and he was showing me the dimensions of this hotel room. It's a video that I have to put out, and he's showing me the exercises that he did inside the hotel room to work on balance. Like, he would just turn the light switch on and off in his room with his foot for like 30 minutes, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, he would just turn it off and on, standing on one foot, just turning it off and on. And I was like, how long would you do this for? He'd do 30 minutes on one leg and then 30 minutes on the other leg. And the control that would give you, for just weeks. He didn't know how many hours a day he worked out in this hotel room, but I imagine that he would work out like we would watch Netflix.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he'd binge wild shit, like push kicks, just dump for like 2 hours, just push kicks. Like, I was listening to him tell this story, and it's broken English, and his English is getting good, but I was just like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, man, it was just me, no pad holders. And then he went and fought like Andre Stoica or something ridiculous, or Marat Marat. Oh, G-U.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. I can't pronounce it. Yeah.
I forgot your last name, but it was an incredible story. So, I've been with Roman and like talking to him every time he fights, and it's just been great because he's a delightful person. I know he looks like a giant Barbie doll, like everybody's like, it's Roman and Crick there. He's like 6'4", built like a Greek god.
Yeah.
He's just the sweetest person, and he could end at maybe 99% of the world. So he's great. I love Roman.
Excellent character. I'm really looking forward to this. There's so many personalities, champions, non-champions that have that personality, have that sort of charisma, and it's just so interesting to see what's next on the horizon. Is there any news with the unfortunate stoppage on that prime card? Roberto
Soldich?
Yes.
Soldich and Ramazanov. They're going to run that back in the States. In the U.S., one championship is coming to Denver, USA, baby. Yeah, man, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy to be to be in the States for a one card. Denver, Colorado. The card is looking tremendous. We get the rubber match of DJ versus Adriano. They're releasing all these different fights. Stamp, is fighting Anderson. That's going to be crazy. There's some really good fights coming up. Angla's on that card. The U.S. debut is going to be a big deal for one championship.
Is there any reason why? Because we should have had the mixed rules about what's happened with that with Mexon?
Lisa Mexon, she didn't show up for weigh-ins, and it was, I think, some personal reasons, and why she didn't want to fight that day. But man, Supergirl Stamp all of a sudden took place, and we're like, what?
Yeah.
And Supergirl, granted, outweighed Stamp by a couple pounds. Supergirl was huge, but she looked good, man. She's super young. She's super talented, and she'll fight anybody. Like Stamp was supposed to fight Anissa, right? So she's training for MMA, right? Her whole thought process is, how can I strangle this girl? And then all of a sudden, nope, you're gonna fight Supergirl in kickboxing. How big is Supergirl? Strawweight. Let's go. And Stamp was in it. So that's one championship, bro. You never know what you're gonna see when that bell rings.
And I'm glad Chatri on the following week gave Supergirl the bonus as well. I think it's unusual. I don't think it's ever been done that you'd give a bonus to both fighters. But in that case, I mean, in my opinion, I think Supergirl actually won that bout. All respect, for Stamp for stepping up and doing what she was able to do. But I just think 2 rounds to 1 easily for Supergirl. But I'm not a judge.
Ooh. Okay.
She's doing her thing, man. She's Supergirl. And then she says she's so young. Like,
Yes, yeah.
yeah.
It's it's just a kid, bro. Just a kid out there getting this world class experience, fighting the highest level fighters. If she can stay on it, right? Because she's got movie deals too, apparently, right? So her and Wonder Girl are both going to do movies really soon. So you're going to be watching them on the big screen. But if they want to stay with it, at any point they could just be like, peace, I'm going to go make
Yeah.
millions, not getting smashed in the face, right?
Yeah.
But they still want to compete. They still want that shine. And we'll see how this thing plays out, as we get to know more and more Thai superstars. We're going to make a lot of Thai superstars because that Lumpinee show is it's our opportunity to let people know who these guys really are, and give the small names a shot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Last two before we wind down. Thank you very much for your time and carving out this time for me, sir. Ekaterina, is that the right pronunciation? Yeah,
Yeah.
very talented fighter. But I haven't seen much of her at all.
Dude, you never know, right? Like, they have lives across the world, and I don't know if it's an us or them thing, but I know that she's got that star mentality, and one championship wants her on cards, and that just worked out differently, as far as maybe she was offered Stamp and then didn't want Stamp, or maybe she wanted to fight the rematch and that's what she was focused on, because it's hard to change your mind, change your
Yeah,
game plan immediately, like you spend, months crafting, a skill set around one individual, right?
exactly.
Maybe it's best just to go, I'll wait for the next time. I'm cool.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not fighting for paychecks. They're in a good situation financially where they don't have to
Mm,
take fights.
good
Like I remember
points.
hearing stories about Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? Like he didn't have to take movies he didn't want to do because he had a side income. So you never know what's going on with that
Yeah.
person's life or why they don't fight.
Hmm.
Um,
Good
but
points.
Ekaterina's a superstar. Ekaterina's a superstar, and I look forward to her returning again and doing what she does, because man, that girl looked in tremendous shape that week
Yes.
of.
Yeah.
Speaking to her, she was confident, she was hungry. I hope she just rolls it right into another camp, and we get
Hmm.
to see her and Supergirl. Now we got shows every week, guys. Just come, just be like, put your hand
Yeah.
up and say, I want to fight wherever, and I think we'll give them a shot. So
100%. Because we do need to see that rematch. We 100% need to see that rematch with her and Supergirl.
yes,
100% goes
yes,
without saying. Grappling, a new headline I saw.
yeah.
Rotolo taking on Bashetta?
I didn't see. I don't know if I saw that. I thought I saw Ty Rutolo fighting RDR.
Oh, that was it. Sorry, no, that was sorry. I'm going loopy. I'm going
Was
loopy.
that it?
Yes, that was it. The
Yeah.
RDR. Isn't that a
Yes.
bit of a big weight differential?
That's how crazy Ty Rutolo is. The entire Rutolos would probably fight Buchecha. Like they'll do anything. They'll do it, right? Like don't put it past them. They are those two twins are, I don't want to say they're like the future of submission grappling because they're the present, bro. Right now, those two got a lot of shine on them, winning ADCCs, and then like the next day they're winning a belt, and then they're doing it again, and then opening a gym in Costa Rica, and then like it's crazy, bro. Like these kids, they're super young. They're super young. I think they're like not even 20 or
Hmm.
something like that. They're like 19, and they're built like Michael Phelps
Yeah.
with these giant arms, and they should be swimming in the Olympics, you know. They're like squids. They could suck you in and then
Yeah.
suffocate you. I love those Rutolos. And then RDR was like posted a picture on his IG about, these are my two sons,
I'm glad he still
making
got
it
his
making it
humor.
interesting. RDR would fight him in a tag team match. You know, they could trade off and
Be
on.
fun. I
And
tell you what, that'd
fight him.
be groundbreaking. Two 10-minute matches.
Dude, he'd do it. I guarantee you he would do it. He would fight them both. But yeah, Tyru Tolo said yes. I think it's going to be probably Rutolo is probably going to walk in there maybe around 170, 180,
Mhm.
maybe upwards of 190 even. I don't know if he's that big.
No, I
But
wouldn't
then
say he's that
RDR
big.
is right around 200. So I would
Yeah.
say it's like 180 against 200.
Yes.
But size wise, I think they're pretty close. I
Hmm.
think they're pretty, just a couple inches maybe.
And very different styles. As soon as I saw that poster, I was like, first of all, as you've just unpacked the weight differential, but I thought very different styles.
Yeah. Yeah.
How is that gonna work?
I don't know. Like, I don't know who, like the takedown, I could see Rutolo kind of jumping into something.
Yeah.
He attacks very aggressively. Like he's always on the attack. I could see RDR just kind of letting him come to him,
Hmm.
defending a little bit, trying to suck the energy out, looking for judo throws or trips or
Hmm.
taking the back. But then he has to deal with this constant energy, of Tyro Tolo, who attacks limbs, with whatever you give him. Like you step forward and he's after your leg, and then he's tying you up in a darce, and then he's transitioning to the back. It's very hard to predict what these two kids are doing. They grew up in a basement or their garage, and they would spend hours just deconstructing different moves and how they could hit it and how they could, lace these submissions up. And they're hit like kids like Mikey Musumeci, like this
Yeah.
level of grappler is cerebral on like whole different levels, So gonna be interesting to watch those two fight, I think.
I'm very much looking forward to that. I wasn't, truth be told, I'm not a huge grappling sort of fan. I do prefer striking, but it's warming to me. It's definitely warming to me. I see the skills. I mean, that the last fight that Mikey had, that poor gentleman, what was he thinking? Why on earth didn't
Um
he tap? He's destroyed his
they're
leg.
yeah, but they're bred differently in Mongolia, man. Like they're Mongolians are a tough people, man. And that kid was like, you can just take my legs, go ahead, I'm
Yeah.
fine with it, I will get up and I will keep coming after you. He was young, and Musumechi was just tearing at his leg, trying to rip it off his body. And
Yeah.
I was just in shock, and I was like watching the position that Musumechi was putting him in was just like, it was like when you watch a horror movie or
Yeah.
you cut your finger and you see all the blood, you're like, you get queasy. I was queasy during that fight, bro.
Yeah, it's no, and I totally get exactly what you're saying. But we live to fight another day. He's highly decorated. The chances of him getting out of that position and submitting. I mean, he was in that position pretty much eight odd minutes.
A long time, man. Like that, just he was just like, oh, let's do it, let's
Yeah,
do it, and he was down to play that game, and that's just, But the toughness of these guys and the things that they go through, previously to get into the ring or the circle, you don't know what kind of pain that person's endured in their life, and maybe getting their leg ripped apart was a small price to pay to shot at victory. So
yeah, yeah. It's a competitive spirit, isn't it? Competitive spirit.
100.
Yes. It has been wonderful, sir. Thank you very much for your time. Please do throw out all your social medias. I'll make sure I put the links below in the description, sir.
Yeah, man, no problem. It's just pretty much at Mitch Chilson, and I try to stay active on the socials, and um, it's been a pleasure. Has been all mine, bro. I appreciate you reaching out and doing this again. It's been chaotic, but I can always carve some time for Noble. So thanks for having me, bro.
You're most welcome. As I say, guys, make sure you continue, number one, to support One Championship. If you just stumble onto this stuff and you're in the UK, it is very easily to consume via YouTube. If not, check your local listings and join the ride. Jump onto this carriage of this train because it's gonna be exciting.
One Friday Fights live from the historic Lumpinee Stadium. We're doing it again this week for One Friday Night. We're One Friday Fights 5. That's going to be happening this Friday, 7:30 Singapore time. And I don't know what time that is out there in the UK, but I'm sure if you follow this man, you will find out the exact timing in your local region there in the UK. Best of luck on everything you're doing. And I look forward to chatting again, bro.